Hey, this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. So we're going to talk about the new moon that will be happening on September 14th and what it will mean for you and the world. Well, this new moon is in the Nakshatra Uttara Phalguni, which is in Leo. There's two halves. Some of it's in Leo and some of it's in Virgo, but this new moon happens in Leo. So it'll bring an element of both. Now, the scriptures talk about a story that relates to this nakshatra that involves a king named Janaka and his teachings to a sage, which really sum up the energy that will be happening, not just for the 2 weeks, but for a month after this, because it is a new moon. So the sage was asking the king, how does he keep his focus on his kingdom when he has such a lavish castle, such a rich and lavish kingdom? How does he focus on the jobs and of the duties that need to be done when he has such a beautiful place? So he asked the sage to carry a lamp around his home and around his palace to fixate on the fire so that it doesn't burn out. So he did that and he made his rounds around the palace. Then he came back to the king and the king asked him, how did you like my palace? What did you think about it? And the sage said, I couldn't concentrate on the palace because I was so concentrated on the fire of the lamp not burning out. And then the king responded, that's how I run my kingdom. The story shows us that with concentration is how we manage the wealth of the kingdom. So it's all about managing the kingdom and managing the wealth through alliances this month. So there's a focus on communication and miscommunication, although somewhat confusing because we have the sun and moon, and also in Leo we have Mercury in retrograde. Now Mercury will go direct the day after on the 15th, but the summary for the month is a lot of confusion regardless. Now the focus is also on family and money issues. This could have to do with trade, stocks, merchants, business matters, travel and transportation, organizations, alliances, social media, vice presidents of countries, and for some, this can be gains as well. On the government level or the leaders, this could also mean those in charge are learning to master the 64 arts. Kings in ancient times had to master these, but included in the 64 arts are lying, gambling, and fraud. This is also showing us that there is a conflict among civil servants and the leaders as well. There's also a conflict with international affairs, warfare, foreign policies, the infant mortality rate, and crime, also the United Nations. These leaders are trying to cover up any leaked info regarding health matters that were actually cons. Also, there could be damage because we have this aspect with Saturn in the 7th house aspecting the moon and the sun. Now, the last moon that I predicted, I said that there would be mass casualties due to weather. And that's exactly what happened because of the aspect of so close to the moon. Now, we still have Saturn aspecting the moon, which can cause mass casualties as well. This could be weather. This could be any damage caused by earthquakes. This could also be floods, famine, hardships, indicators, and indicators of also labor strikes. Now, this nakshatra also has a very protective and nurturing energy. That could also involve siblings as well, or those in hospitals, those in foreign lands, people that need to be taken care of. There's an element of that as well. There could be also loss of homes and family due to weather conditions or the court system. Uttara Phalguni is also called the latter reddish one or the latter fig tree. The month of Phalguni relates to the springtime. This one is the latter part of spring when the fruits are now ready to be harvested and eaten. The nakshatra also symbolizes the back legs of a bed. This is more for taking a nap or taking a rest from work because it's also a time where people are ready to end relaxation and get back to work. The key motivation is towards helping others or receiving help from others. A strong emphasis on friendship is here, especially with Mercury, which is the 11th house lord in the first house. But this could be working on mending a relationship that had some miscommunications, or a friendship that was previously ended, or a friendship with someone in a foreign country or very far away. The friendships that end could have to do with selfishness and pride. On the more negative side, there could be signs of loss, fraud, deception. This nakshatra is very independent. Its independence is establishing its own individuality. So this is a very important theme. Many are working hard at this right now. This is shown by the aspect of Saturn in Shabihista, which is the stage. Many are working on establishing a leadership role around their peers. Don't be so critical of yourself. Some are facing challenges by authority figures, bosses, even government leaders. Deal with it with grace, but remember, it's not your time to conform, especially if it's what others want from you. This energy is one of self-reliance and individuality. It's also about connecting to your inner guidance because it knows what's best inside of you. Don't look outside of yourself for that. And it's about forging your own path right now. Saturn is also changing the matters of health and exposing what was hidden from the previous pandemic. This could also be the health of women and children. This will be happening in the first pada, which ends up being in the rulership of Jupiter. So it has a strong ethical value, but there's also a side of it which is helping to advise or counsel others. This could be also with Venus in Ashleisha. That could be in the 12th house, counseling others with mental issues as well. So if that is something that you deal with, chances are you will be very busy in your profession. Jupiter in retrograde shows us that there are financial matters in the kingdom that need to be transformed. Some are dying and some are being reborn using the court system, judges, politics, colleges, universities, faith, religion, and travel. Some of these issues can be changed in very unconventional ways, and some may be crooked. This could have to do with trade and business as well, and also health matters. Now, Ketu is in the 3rd house in Chitra, and so is Gilika. Gilika is the son of Saturn, so it has that energy. Actually, it's supposed to be even more malefic than Saturn. Some accidents and deaths could be caused by transportation or errors made or delays, or errors made by journalists, broadcasters, or podcasters, somebody in communication. Venus in the 12th house, like I mentioned in Ashleisha, causes victims and victimizers. And on one hand, it could show taking care of others. So that's nurses and doctors as well. Some schools could be closed due to illness, and there could be problems with immigrants becoming homeless. Overseas trade between countries is shown here as well. So if you deal in a business that has to do with foreign trade, you'll do very well. If you would like to know more about how the Jupiter retrograde is going to affect the world, I have a whole separate video about that where I really break it down, and it has a lot to do with financial matters. Now, the professions that this will include are creative artists, musicians, entertainers, any kind of superstars, leaders, public figures, those in high positions, and this is media, entertainment, priests, mafia, astrologers, marriage counselors, sex therapists, for all professions connected to the United Nations. So that's why we see a lot of leaders who are coming together right now. International diplomats, founding fathers, other patriotic figures, bankers, creditors, a lot to do with finance, and any advisors in any field. So this time is very favorable for any activities with marriage, beginning anything new. So if you have to start something new, do it under this moon and you'll be successful. Anything that you want to last for a very long time, like organizations, societies, good for sexual activity, good for dealing with higher authorities, except for you might come in some kind of conflict if you are a higher authority against a civil servant. There could be just with that aspect of Saturn, depending on your chart, depending how your Saturn is placed. It's good for buying property. There could be some could get a new home for the first time, for openings, for ceremonies, for swearing in ceremonies. We'll probably see a lot of that. good for making promises, performing sacred ceremonies and rituals, especially with the new moon. A lot of people do rituals then, and wearing new clothes, jewelry. Now, it's unfavorable for any type of endings, harsh activities, confrontation, engaging with enemies. Not good for lending money if you want to get it back. So that's just a few things. And on September 19th is Ganesh 4 is what it's called. And that's a day that we celebrate Ganesh in Hinduism. So if you actually use the mantra on that day, you're going to be able to unblock anything that has been blocking you, any obstacles, anything that's been in your way. On September 19th, if you do the mantra, which you can find on YouTube anywhere, try to do it for as long as you can, but at least 108 times. It will help enhance your power in unblocking many issues into your life. But also remember, on that day, it is advised, do not look at the moon. There are stories in the scriptures that tell us that if we look at the moon on that day, you could be accused of a crime or theft that you did not commit. And the only way to unblock that is a mantra. So just make sure that you don't look at the moon on that day. And this may sound a little far-fetched, but it's not. That's how the universe works. And the Vedic scriptures never lie to us. So just caution on that. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.